Hello, post-edit Julia here, and this is my first YouTube video in the longest time. Over the past 6 months, I've had to really prioritise certain things in my life. I talk a little bit about it in the video, and what I share are a few of the ways that I have managed to do this without feeling that horrible guilt, which I normally feel when I have to prioritise things. So if you have a big project on, or a school assignment, or you have a goal that you want to reach and it does require you putting that time to the side for yourself consistently, hopefully the tips in this video will help you to do that without feeling bad for doing that. But on that note, enjoy. So it's been a while since I've been on the old YouTube and on social media in general. The past 6 months have been quite intense. A lot has changed in my life and I've really had to prioritise certain things, which meant leaving other things to the side for now, which I found to be so difficult. So in the past 6 months, I don't know where to start. I've moved house, I've moved cities, so I'm in a completely different city. I've changed jobs, I've finished my PhD, I had to finish all my corrections. I've done that, I've got my certificate, so all official PhD is done. I've had a health scare, I've lost someone who's very close to me. I've had a huge project on, absolutely like as big as my thesis type of project, which I've had to do on the side of doing a new job. And my new job is brilliant. I love it. I'm working in radio production and presenting for a science radio show. I love it, but it's really intense and it's been a really steep learning curve. So on top of all of those things, I've just had to sort of say to myself, Julia, you need to prioritise certain projects that you're doing. So this big project had to take, most of my time, but also prioritise myself and my health. So the first thing that I've really had to register this time is that I have limits and I need to know what those limits are. So I like to think about my time almost like a roast dinner. Like you've got a plate with lots of different foodstuffs on it and there's only so much room on the plate, and the more you pile onto that plate, the less time you can give to the other things. And so I like to think about, my day or my time as this plate. And I am very, very bad at estimating my time in advance. So I'll look at my schedule and be like, oh yeah, great, today I've got, 4 hours of spare time in the evening and I can use that to do work. But not all hours in a day are created equal. And when I'm working full time, a lot of my energy is going into that work. So at the end of the day, I am just absolutely wiped out. So those 4 hours are not the same as, say, having 4 hours of free time in the morning where my brain is still quite fresh and I can still get on with things. So really recognizing that there are certain times in the day where I work better. If I'm working a full day at work, the evening I'm not going to be really fit to do intense work then as well. I may as well use that time to rest up. So I just think of my time as like a roast dinner, and if I want to add new things onto it, I have to do less of other things or take something off completely to put something new on. And when I'm doing a big project, a lot of that plate has to be filled with that, and that means that other things have to wait in the fridge for now, or wait in the hot cupboard and I can eat them later. Also, something which has been really important to me, and I think it's something that I've maybe underestimated in the past, is how I talk to people about the work that I'm doing. I think with this past 6 months in particular, I've had to put things like YouTube and social media content creation completely to the side. And people would ask me about it. Oh, I haven't seen you posting for a while. What's going on? And I would normally, say, oh, I can't do that at the moment. And the word can't to me, it's not a definitive, that's not something I'm doing at the minute. Me saying I can't do that at the minute sort of makes room in my own head, which maybe it's just me, but saying that, it makes room I'm making an excuse, or oh, I can't, it means it's not important to me. Because it is still important to me. Doing all that stuff is so important to me. That's why I'm here now. But at the time, it's something that I couldn't fit in. And so I stopped saying I can't do that at the minute. And I said, at the minute, my priority is this other project and I'm going to come back to it like down the line once that project is done. And with projects like that are really big, like you might have them in, I don't know, a degree, in your PhD, work projects that last for many, many months. You're not going to complete them very quickly, obviously, because it takes time. And I think it's very hard to prioritise in a way of how you prioritise, say, tasks in a given day. In a given day, you can be like, well, that's most important, that needs to be done today. Whereas these deadlines that are really far in advance, yeah, technically I could have left it till last minute, but I actually would have had to like not sleep for about 2 weeks to get this work done. So I think it's important to really think of it as like a marathon, not a sprint in these types of situations, and think, I've got to prioritise this task every day for the next few weeks, few months to get it done. I also had to take myself away from things that made me feel guilty for not making them priority, which no one's made me feel guilty, no one, it's only myself and in my own head. When I would go on YouTube, when I would go on social media, I would feel really guilty because other people are creating incredible content, which I love to interact with. But in this instance, because I'm not creating anything, all I was doing was going on there, and in my own mind, it was essentially just being like, look how much this other person's doing, why aren't you doing the same? And even though I knew in my own head that I was prioritising this other huge project that needed all of my attention, in those instant moments where you'd see other people's incredible content and work, I just feel really guilty. And for me, on my like social media, for example, in my bio, I wrote an almost like out of office email, like when you're away from work and you put on an out of office and people automatically get the reply saying essentially, I'm not going to reply to you for a while. In my bios on social media, I essentially wrote one of them of like, in final phases of PhD, I'll be back soon. And I've written that on both my social media accounts. So if anyone goes to that page, they can see, okay, right now she's not posting, instead of just feeling like, I don't know, I feel like I've abandoned it. Even though I know that I haven't abandoned it, because I know there's a reason for me not being on there, and I don't want other people to come across the page and think, oh, she hasn't posted in 4 months, she's just not bothered anymore. So having that in my bio, that helped me feel like, okay, well, I have technically told people, because if they go on my account, they can see that at the minute I'm not going to be there and I'm not going to be responding to things. I also have my own little virtual shelf in my own head, and I sometimes write it down in my notebook as well. When I get ideas for things, it's very easy when you're in a really long project which doesn't have that immediate feedback of you're finished, well done. It's quite easy for me to be like, oh, well, I could just make, I don't know, an Instagram post about this and it'll take me a few hours today, and then I can tick it off and it's done, and that's a really good idea. I always seem to have the best ideas when I'm working on a project that's really difficult and hard, and it's definitely just like a form of procrastination because my brain wants to take me out of something that's difficult and do something that is fun and relieving of that more stressful state. So I have my own like virtual shelf, and I also write it on my computer. I have like a list, and so when I had an idea that come into my head, I'd jump on that or I'd write it in my notebook. I've got a list called ideas, and in that list I'd just write what the idea was, and that meant for me that when I've come back to these other platforms, I've got now a list of loads of ideas that I can put into cool content. It's all still there for me, and it meant that I didn't feel distracted and also didn't feel like guilty that I was letting good ideas sort of pass me by, if that makes sense. And then the final thing, which I think has been really important to feel like I am prioritizing but not feeling guilty about prioritizing, is setting expectations for those around me about my current priority. So with this project I've been working on, which I can't tell you anything about now, but I will down the line, I've had to be getting up at the crack of dawn to work for about 3 or 4 hours before I start my actual job. And that's meant having to tell friends and family essentially, like, I can't go out on a weekday night, like unless I'm home by 8 o'clock and I can like get myself into bed and be asleep by 9, I can't go out. And then on the weekend as well, I have to use those days where I don't have to think about other work to just focus. So I essentially said after my deadline, I'm going to be much more available to do things. So one of these examples is my sister's hen party is in April, and we've booked like the main sort of location and we've booked the flight, but all of the little intricate details, I just had to say to her, look, I can't wait to organise this party for you, but until this deadline has passed, I won't be able to give that my full attention, because again, in my own head, I think, oh, it'll only take me, 20 minutes to organise that. But it's not, it's more like changing gears into being in that zone, really researching it, making sure it's right, and then coordinating it with all the people who are coming to the hen party. You want to give yourself a good few hour block to do that, and I just haven't had that over the past 3 or 4 months. Just letting people around me know what I'm working on, why it's important, and what to expect from me for the next few months. That's really helped, because I know all my friends and family are very much aware that I love them and I care for them, but over the next few months I'm in this really intense period of my life, and that means that I'm not going to be able to be as Julia as I normally am, but I'll definitely make up for it afterwards. So yeah, there were a few of the things for me that has really helped me to be able to get on with my work. And priority was initially designed to be a single thing, and I feel now we prioritise many things at once, but there are points in life where things just have to be put to the side, put on a shelf, and you can definitely do that without feeling guilty about it, or like feeding the guilt that might sometimes crop up when you're doing so. So yeah, there's a little video about where I've been and how I've sort of dealt with being away from things which I don't like, but it was a necessity. And now I will be back with more content on this channel and on my social media channels. Over the next few months, I'll start to ramp those things up again. And yeah, just be back in these spaces, and I'll be sharing cool science stuff, as always, neuroscience things, productivity and organizational sort of tips and tricks, and then also a bit about what life is like as a producer and a presenter for a science show. And yeah, if you're interested in any of those things, then feel free to subscribe, because videos will be coming your way very soon, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.